Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ladies Power Lunch. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have today as our very special guest, Zef Zan, and she's going to be sharing with us a bit about how to build our abundance toolkit. We're in the second quarter. I know I don't like to timestamp these because people can watch them at any time. You can watch them in the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter. You can even watch them in the fourth quarter. But what I really want to say is that we are here in our second quarter. We're building our businesses, we are sharing our messages as entrepreneurs that really are passionate about the thing that we do. We really want to make a difference in the world. We want to really touch the lives of the people that we're here to serve. And we want to make sure that we are putting ourselves in a position so that the people who are losing sleep at night because they need to connect with us because they need that thing that we provide, we want to make sure that they're able to connect with us. We also want to make sure that as we are serving as a resource for others, that we in our businesses are resourced. And this is one of the things that Zef feels really strongly about. This is one of the things that she talks about a whole lot. She talks about getting to yes connections, and that yes is with a dollar sign. It's not just putting yourself out there and not getting anything back in return. And she really does a fantastic job of sharing with us how we can actually get to those yes connections as we go along in our businesses. So I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome to Zef, friend to the show. Welcome back. And can you just share for those people who have never, ever met you before, who are you and what is it that you do in the world?
Thanks to Dr. Davia. Hello, everybody. Hello, ladies. So good to be back here at Ladies Power Lunch. In case you haven't met me in person or even online, I love to reimagine the virtual event experience. Therefore, I am a live broadcast and virtual events producer. So if you want more people to attend your virtual event and get a different experience and have them coming back for more, I am your that gal. Oh, are you muted?
So what I would love for you to share with our audience today is, Zef, how did you get to this point where you're doing this kind of work? And what's your why? What's the real reason? What's driving you to do this kind of thing?
Oh my God, I get to tell that story again. I love that you asked that question because people often ask me, like, how did you really end up? And they think I've been doing this for years just for the sake of wanting to work remotely. But actually it came out from a need of my own business need. When I started in this journey, I basically hosted a lot of meetup events. If you all remember, I just want to see a show of comments. If you still remember that app called meetup.com. Yep, that meetup.com app. This was way before LinkedIn events. This was way before Facebook events had event pages. So I was actively in this meetup community and I hosted and facilitated a lot of in-person networking events. If I say a lot, it's like I attend 2 to 3 in-person networking events a week. And that could total up to about 50 people a week, that I meet, 50 to 200 people a month that I meet. But what I realized from doing this, Davia, was that I hosted a lot of events. Sometimes people show up. I got fed up with people RSVPing on the platform and didn't show up. And I was like, okay, I know we're all very busy people. We have, this thing called life that we have to juggle, but we also at the same time want to always plug into people who can bring resources, like you said, and also have, things that can help us grow our business, our personal lives. And I said, how can I deliver my value and the value of the people that I have in my network, my connections, to the people out there? And I don't know how this came about. I think it was just a God moment. I remember at that time so well, back about almost a decade ago, like this all TV shows, a reality TV came online. And I'm thinking like, okay, this family of 5 gals, know how to use, TV for getting the audiences to their space. And I'm thinking, okay, is there a technology out there that we can do this where I can literally go live literally anywhere and maybe on my phone? At that time, I had a computer, and I said, what if somebody's on their toilet seat and they can still consume the value that I have to offer, and my network, the people in my connection. And I was like, can I do that? So I started dabbling with something called Google Hangouts at that time. Oh my God, each time I talk about Google Hangouts, I feel so dated like a dinosaur. Hashtag that, dated like a dinosaur. Exactly. That's how I feel in the IT world. So that's how I really started. And I started playing with the technology. I started bringing stuff through the in-person room equipment. So this was way before the pandemic. Yeah. And this is way before like it was a thing. Even Zoom wasn't a thing. So yes, I brought a lot of equipment to in-person locations, and I'm thinking like, why am I carrying all this stuff? I had a team of interns, and they said, Zav, if we are carrying this stuff, we can literally do it anywhere that has Wi-Fi. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so cool. That really got me started in this remote space, virtual space. And then just fast forward a little bit, there was a technology called Blab I Am. There was this huge community that came together from there. And after that, that's just history, because from that on, in three short months, I was in a team of three different continents, co-producing virtual summits way before it was even sexy. So that's how I really got started on this journey. And what I loved about it most is like, I get to meet people from all walks of life, cultures and backgrounds. And I get to tap into how they run business and life. And that's what makes me really, really passionate about showing up online.
You talk a lot about getting to yes connections, and that's
Yes.
really important because especially with the way things have been for the past 2 years, we've all been online and we're having more conversations with people online. We're able to expand our networks in a way that we probably had not before. You were doing this long before everybody else, but we have now, I think the world has kind of caught up with where you are. So when you talk about getting to yes connections, what does that mean? And how is that beneficial to an entrepreneur?
One of the biggest but most basic things, this is what my recipe is for everybody. It's nothing fancy, but it's simple, but it takes a little bit of doing because it all depends on our busy lives. It's called consistently showing up. And that's basically what will happen when we consistently show up to our connections. It eventually becomes yes connections, yes with the dollar signs. Because see, one of the challenges that when I hosted those meetup events, I realized we're all busy people, we need to show up in person. Yes, I must say this out there, there's nothing like a meeting in person, but we're busy people. But if the event that I host is just once a month or once every other week, there needs to be some sort of filler, right, to kind of connect me and my new connection. So back in those days, we just show up for each other, phone call, but showing up on a camera, that's the next best thing for me to connecting with that person, making and building that relationship. I can literally, and I remember those days when I said, do you have one of these? Does it have a camera that you can just call me on FaceTime? Because I really like to, have your facial expressions, your body language, because then I can really gauge how that connection, the energy between the two of us. And it tells me if it's going to be a potential yes connection or a no connection. So then, I can okay, this is not going to waste my time. This is potentially, sowing my seeds in this relationship. And then I can make it into a yes connection. But in order to do that, I made a decision that I will show up. I'll show up whether it's in person or in video. So that really helps me. And that has been working a lot for me.
Awesome. So when we're talking about getting to yes connections, and this yes with a dollar sign, because we want to be abundant, we want to be
Mhm.
resourced in our businesses. I know for the entrepreneur out there, most of us were thinking to ourselves, okay, we just want to do the thing that we do. We don't want to really be thinking about the money. But the fact of the matter is, the money needs to come in for us to be resourced so we can keep our lights on. Because as much as we are heart centered, there also has to be an energetic exchange that takes
Absolutely.
place. And
Mhm.
so, when you talk about getting to yes connections, what are some of the things, in addition to showing up, what are some of the things that we can really consistently do to get to those yes connections with the people that we are out there networking with?
So the networking has like a plus and minus thing on my list, because people define it differently. To really get to yes connection that will actually get the yes with a dollar sign is really, first, definitely show up, right? And two, ask the right questions so that you can know, you use the right ask the right questions so you can filter out, what works and what doesn't work. And then you can kind of feel the energy. Let's just say, like Davia and I, oh my God, we love this event stuff. We can figure out a way that we can actually collaborate and make the dollar sign together, right? We have to take the time to show up to make discoveries of how we can serve each other. Because if there's no overlap, I think the dollar sign is gonna come really hard. It's almost gonna feel like it's being forced. So it has to show up organically. But in order to show up, it's just like dating. For you to know if you're the right person or not, I gotta take a few steps. I gotta show up. If you ask me to a movie, let's go and see what kind of movies you like, right? And let's see if we can make a spark. It's the same thing with business. If you're making the dollar, if you want to make the dollar signs, you have to make some discoveries, and in order to do that, you have to explore that relationship. Because you'll discover sometimes, maybe you have your what should I say, you have your boundaries, and you have to figure out like what you can work with, what you cannot work with, and what you cannot absolutely accept, right? So that's your checklist. It takes a little time and exploration. Until and unless we get our feet wet, we'll never know if that connection is going to make a dollar sign. So in order to do that, show up organically, ask the right questions so that we can filter out what works and what doesn't work. And if the energy is right or not right, and then that you can talk bigger conversations and have bigger discussions that would lead to maybe projects, or maybe collaborations, or building a collective, just like what you do, Davia, with writing books or offering a community, coaching. Then when you have the right energy, and after filtering all that, you can get to the yes with a dollar sign connection. Does that make sense?
On mute here. You're saying that we need to show up consistently, and
Correct.
then we need to make sure that the energy is right with us
Correct.
and the other people that we're working with. That is really on
Yes.
point with what we teach with Grow Smarter, with the collaboration principles, where we talk about,
Mhm.
asking yourself what your values are, where you stand, what you
Mhm.
want, and then being sure that the people that you're working with are in alignment with the values that you have. And when you get to
Yes.
that, then you can proceed on to the other steps of
Correct.
collaboration. So this
Mhm.
really ties in perfectly, really, really beautifully with what we teach and what we believe over here at Ladies Power Lunch. As far as building our abundance toolkit goes, as far as getting to those yes connections go, what are some of the things that we need to really be careful about, things that we need to avoid when we're getting out there?
Well, what we need to avoid is just so I'm big about communication. So I tell people, be clear about what you want to say. So one of the things I share when avoiding is avoiding miscommunications that basically, like, for you may not seem it's a big thing, but for the other person, don't have that mindset of like, I don't have to communicate to this person because you're on the assumption. So avoid assumptions is, I think, going to be a big thing on my communication side, because I always tell people, just say it as it is, but say what you mean what you say, but you don't have to say it mean. So I practice that a lot. So that helps me to let the people that I work with or in my team, my connections, my network, my yes dollar sign connections, how I operate. Because I always tell people, I am okay you telling me straight to, my face. Be clear so I understand what your mindset and what your heart is telling, right? Because I don't want you to be like having an imposter syndrome and all that stuff. So avoid any kind of assumptions or having any kind of big expectations with a person that you just met or you're just about to work. Always be clear on communication. And I practice, say what you mean what you say, but you don't have to say it mean, because we all have different, levels of communication. Just say it so that we're clear. And when we're clear, we move on. So we don't make the assumptions. We don't make that expectation. So that's what's to avoid: assumptions, expectations.
Assumptions and expectations. Again, back to the second principle of Grow Smarter, which is alignment, and alignment in communication has to be there, because one of the things that shows up very, very often is that people will be having a conversation and they're talking about two totally different things. And
Mhm.
they come away from the conversation with totally different expectations. So making
Yeah.
sure that when you're in conversation with somebody with whom you're going to have a collaboration, somebody with whom you are hoping for a yes with a dollar sign kind of connection, definitely making sure that there is alignment with the communication. That has to be at the top of the list. In your trails, I'm sure you've come across all sorts of tech and equipment and books and plugins and apps and all sorts of hacks for making our lives better as we step into our abundance and have more connections that actually make us money. What are some of the things that you think every single entrepreneur out there should know about, that's out there that maybe we're not paying as much attention to? What are some of the hacks and the tech that we can be plugging into right now?
Oh my God. I think there's so many out there right now. I'm just not thinking of anything except, I don't know why. Maybe it's meant to be like I'm having a God moment where I'm just supposed to share this tech. I think there's so many technology that we can actually use to improve the quality of our life, our business, and how we can actually leverage for productivity. However, one lately that I think has been overlooked, but many of us use it, is our calendar booking calendar, right? The link for our booking calendars. Let's just say booking calendars. There's power to it, and that's also, if you don't use it properly, you can be off risk to your time. So one of the things that I've recently seen a lot is that, people have multiple calendars, calendar booking links. And that's the part that I'm having an issue with. I'm like, why multiple? Because I can't even handle one. How do you have three? So that's what I'm trying to share with everybody. That is one very basic things, because it's time, right? It's time that we commit to. And some people actually have, multiple calendars. And I understand with you, Dr. Davia, is like, because of your career and your job, you can't have it open and you have somebody run your calendar, and that's awesome. But I'm talking generally because I work with so many speakers and people who are in the expert field, right? Consultants, managers, whoever has a booking calendar, sometimes they keep a personal calendar and then they also have a work calendar. I just wonder if there's a way for everybody out there to leverage their booking calendars in a way where you don't give two calendars to somebody else, because that's, I think, from the recipient's end, it's like, do I use the booking calendar for this site, for the personal site, or do I use for the work site? So I think the booking calendar, if we're not careful and we're not setting up the settings right, people are going to just be able to book your time whenever. And then on the receiving side is the fact that if let's say I book your time at 10 a.m. Monday, and then you go like, oh my God, I'm not really available on that day on 10 a.m., but your calendar says it's available. So that's the discrepancy that I try to encourage people to really think about having just about one calendar link. And then however you position the appointment types, leverage that to your advantage, not to the person that you're giving it out to, but to your advantage, because we want to make sure that we have control over our time, not somebody else's. So that's the one tool that came up for me. And I think it's a powerful tool, but it can also be downplayed because of, how we set it up.
I love that you share that tool because I have to admit, look, you're kind of the queen of media. So I was thinking that you were going to come in here and tell us about some really, really new cutting edge tool that is here to help us leverage our ability to get to those yes connections. But here's the reason why this is so important. You are an entrepreneur, you're going out, you're networking, whether you're networking online or you're networking in person, however you're doing it. And then you're suggesting to somebody, let's have a conversation. Let's actually have a one-on-one and see how we fit, if we can work together, if there's an opportunity for a collaboration. And you give them your calendar link. But you need to make sure on your side that things are set up right. You need to make sure that when they book on your calendar, that it's actually the time that you are
Yes.
available to spend with them. It's actually time that you have to share. And this is something that is constantly problematic for me because, of course, and when I say problematic, maybe problematic is a strong word. It's constantly something that I consider. It's at that point where I do have somebody who manages my calendar, because when I try to do it myself, it doesn't
Yep.
always go the way that I plan. But the
Yep.
calendar is so important because that's the time when you're actually going to be able to connect with people and get to those yes connections.
Yep.
So your calendar is actually, you know how they say time is money? Your calendar is actually your abundance. Oh, this is so
Yes.
perfect. I love, love,
It
love.
sounds so basic, isn't
So
it, Davia? But
basic.
it's actually, if you think about it, that's really the root and foundation of how we operate, because that's the time that we have on hand. And that's why I had to share that, because I think it's just coming up for me. Maybe I was meant to share, somebody out there needed to hear that. And I think Wendy said boundaries of the calendar. Absolutely. This is not something that I had to learn like hey, overnight. I had to learn this over the time. I remember those days, Davia, when I gave somebody my booking calendar link, like probably a decade ago, because when I started using this was almost a decade ago. And people like, I had people who just responded, I don't like booking calendars. I don't like I don't like, and I'm thinking like, how else do I go through 10 emails or 5 text messages to really get the right calendar, the time? Like, how do we do this? Then I thought that technology was basic, but at the same time powerful, but it can also go against us if we're not setting it up for ourselves. Then we will not be making the yes $ connection, because if you're not telling the other person the right times you can meet up, then how am I supposed to build that relationship with you, right? So that's where I thought, oh, maybe I should share about booking calendars.
It's really, like you said, a basic thing that we use as entrepreneurs every single day, but it's also something that is so important. And if we set it up right, it can work for us and it can be out
Yes.
there making those yes with a $ connections, because you can set up your calendar to do so many things. We just migrated our virtual calendar to a new platform. So I'm still learning the new platform. But I mean, looking at all the features that it has, you can set it
Yep.
up to book your clients, you can set it up
Yep.
to book connection calls. And if you're, and I use it also to book, my show, people coming onto my shows and that sort of thing. So it's really valuable. It's really useful. It's
Yep.
really something that we can focus in on. We can keep it simple. I mean, we
Yes.
kind of think sometimes that it has to be so complicated, but we can keep it simple. So I think
Yes.
that's just such a great, great resource that you mention and just remind us about. So before we close out, two things that I would love for us to want to remember that today's Free Gift Friday. And so want to invite you to choose a number between 1 and 20 so that you can give a beautiful free gift to one of our members today.
I shall pick the number 13. That's my birth date.
13. Let's see.
I know many people or many locations don't like 13, but I always pick 13.
13 tends to be lucky. And today, 13 is lucky for Wendy Lee. Wendy Lee is our Free Gift Friday winner today. So that's
I'm telling
awesome.
You a lot of God moments. God moments today, Wendy.
Awesome.
I'm not kidding.
Can you share with Wendy what it is that she's winning with you today?
Absolutely. So Wendy, you will get a ticket to SOW Victory Fest, and you can actually send it out to somebody, and you also can gift it to somebody if you so wish to, because we've had the pleasure of our sponsors at SOW Victory Fest who has given us the opportunity to give 100 free tickets away to SOW Victory Fest.
Wow. So you mentioned SOW Victory Fest. Tell us a little bit about SOW Victory Fest. What is that?
Yes. So Victory Fest is an event that I co-founded with my co-founder, Shannon Malkin Daniels. And we wanted to celebrate and elevate, female victories of past women trailblazers, past, present, and future. So when we started this journey, we said, hey, let's just do it around International Women's Day. And then we realized we're short for time, and we say, this is going to be a lot of traffic. Long story short, we looked for another women's celebration that we wanted to, celebrate with. So we looked into the month of May, and it says there's an International Victorious Month celebration. And we're like, oh, that would be so cool. So we designed the entire event around celebrating the victories of female trailblazers, past, present, and future. And the idea is this event, this virtual global event, will be in the first time ever. And we're doing, multiple session formats and styles, a global gathering of women to elevate women and inspire change for a more equitable and an empowered world. So we are inviting every one of you out there to join us on May 10 to 12.
Actually, SOW Victory Fest is going to be happening round about my birthday. I'm just here looking over at my calendar. That's definitely an opportunity for us all to celebrate my birthday at SOW Victory Fest.
Absolutely. And, and we also found out there was another two of our keynote speakers actually are celebrating in the same month. So we all can get on stage together and do the celebration.
Yep. I think we're all going to be it's a celebration of women. Yes. It's a celebration of my birthday.
Yes.
Just kidding.
We're going to call all the May birthday babies. You come on stage and start singing happy birthday to everybody. I'm going to make sure we do that.
Oh, that is tremendously fun. What I love about this event, my favorite thing about this event, okay, it's hard to choose a favorite thing, but one of my favorite things about this event is that it is a celebration. And so you're going to have a lot of different types of presentations happening. You're going to have keynotes with people who are here to share about the thing that they do. You're going to have presentations that are fun,
creative
based, and creator based. You have artists on the program. You have people.
We have chefs, a mixologist. We have an international dancer from Southeast Asia. We also have comedy club, which is yes ladies, is gonna be mature comedy hour, but it's gonna be for us women. She hails all the way from Malaysia, and this is gonna be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am looking forward to it. That is so awesome. I love that it's all these different formats. It's just a celebration of all the ways that women all around the world are being expressed and are being victorious, even now in the time that we're living in. Any final words that you want to share with us, Zef, before we go?
I think the final words is just I want to encourage. We have this really 100 free tickets. You can see my name. It has the website. Just go to sowvictory.com. If you can't make it, get the registration and register. Give it to your mom because moms, Mother's Day is coming up. If you have a friend, connection, a girlfriend, somebody who prefers an experience versus a gift, give them the ticket, right? Because this is an opportunity for them. Over 70 speakers. So we have over 70 sessions. So 3 days, 2 schedules, which is the Americas and Europe, and also Southeast Asia and Australian schedule. You can attend anyone who wouldn't like that virtual experience, right? So give them that ticket, and it's a free ticket. We have up to 100 right now. I don't know how many of the 100 free tickets have gone, but go there and get your ticket and gift it to somebody if you can't make it.
I'm going to invite you to hop on over into the Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group and just make a post about that.
I will.
Perhaps invite some of the Ladies Power Lunch women who are speakers to join in
Yes.
on the conversation over there. And let's get victorious. Let's share that message about women and victory and fun and enjoyment in the world. Let's get that message out
Yes.
there. Thank you so much, Zef, for sharing with us today about our abundance toolkit, about getting to those yes connections, and about something so simple as just making sure that our booking calendar is all set. Thanks for sharing about SOW Victory Fest. And for anybody who's interested, go to sowvictory.com and you can check out some free tickets that you can even gift to somebody.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you
I'll
so
see you
much.
guys on the next show. Bye, everyone.